Hello everybody, I'm Rusty. I want to welcome you to Island Breeze Tropicals. So today we're going to be asking the question, what makes the best climbing bromeliad? So you know what, the sun is shining, the island breeze is blowing. It's time that you and I got growing. Come on, let's have some fun. And why don't we take a look and see what makes the best climbing bromeliad? So before we get going today, if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. It's great to have you with us. If you like what you see, would you do me a favor? Hit that like button down there. And why don't you become a member of our Bromeliad family and become a subscriber? Thanks a lot. Now let's get to today's video. Okay guys, so today we're going to be looking at bromeliads that climb. Some do it better than others. How come? Well, we already know that clumping bromeliads don't do well in trees. They will live because you fill the cups up with water, but eventually they build up a large amount of biomass and they blow out of trees. So what do we look for? And here's what we look for, and we've seen this before. We look for the stolons. See those stems? Now we already have a video about Stoloniferous bromeliads, so I'm not going to go into a whole thing there. As usual, I haven't cleaned my plants before I put them up. Okay, there we go. So these are stolons. You can see the stems that the pup comes out on. But is there a bromeliad that climbs better than others, even if they have stolons? So we do need to have a Stoloniferous bromeliad with these stems here. These are above ground rhizomes. Again, we've got a video that talks about that. But that makes it so that your bromeliad will have multiple points of attachment, let's say on the tree, and you put it up here. Instead of clumping, it's going to send pups out on the stolons and then they will attach. But is that the only thing that's necessary? Why don't we take a look at some examples of Stoloniferous bromeliads, because that's the first thing that we have to have in order for them to climb. And let's see if there are some that will climb better than others, even if they're all stoloniferous. So not all Stoloniferous bromeliads climb all that well. Some do better at draping or hanging down, and that's how they grow in the wild. Some actually will climb. If you put them at the base of the tree and you do it properly, they will climb upwards. We do have a video about how to mount bromeliads in trees. I think you ought to look at that because it's kind of cool. That will show you how they will climb horizontally in that video, but they'll also climb vertically too. So is there a difference? And yeah, I'm going to show you what that difference is. Now, this is a nice little bromeliad. This is called Ampullacea, and I believe the cultivar is called San Diego. Now, as you can see, this is a Stoloniferous bromeliad. I'm going to bring it up to the camera and we'll take a look. So you can see that this is Stoloniferous. See the stem that the pup comes out on? Let's see if I can get it in the frame. There you go. This is a stolon, and if all that we needed to have in order to have a bromeliad climb were stolons, this would work. So okay, this is a wonderful bromeliad to put in a hanging basket. And the reason is that because it is stoloniferous, those stolons will put pups out here and out here. Here's another one right over here. You can see this little small one there. And eventually what it will do is it will drape down. So this is a better hanger than it is a climber. But you can still use something like this Ampullacea. By the way, this is a mini bromeliad. This is its adult size. We've done a video on that too. I do have this in trees, but as you can see, the root system on this little guy is a little meager, and it takes it a lot longer. So I have this in lower areas, and oftentimes what I'll do is I will mount these on a piece of wood, and that way I can keep them tied on there longer, and they will attach, but they take an awfully long time. Now, this is a really great example of a stoloniferous bromeliad. This is called Neoregelia pauciflora, and you can see, look how long this is. And I have this hanging out in the tangle, but as you can see how long this plant is? And you would think by looking at the stolons, I'm going to show you that in a minute, that this would be a great climber. But this hardly climbs at all, and I'm going to show you why. So this is Neoregelia pauciflora. Look how long the stolons are. Look at this. So this is really a hanging bromeliad. This is a species. If you go to Brazil, somewhere in Brazil, you can find this. And here's what I want to show you. Take a look down here where my finger is, and you can't see many roots. They do have very, very small roots, but genetically, they are not designed to climb. And here's what happens. So if seed from this plant gets deposited in a tree, it hangs down, and you'll get a stolon here and then more down here. And what this will do is this will hang down from the tree. Now, if you take a look at habitat pictures, which I love to do because I want to see what a species bromeliad will do in habitat, you will see these draped down from the top of a tree, and that is what they do in the wild. So if I attach this any other way than hanging it somewhere in a tree, it's not going to climb for me. And you would think, I mean, look at this real long stolon here, you would think that this is a superb climber. But again, Pauciflora is more of a hanger. It drapes more than it will ever climb. So we just looked at a couple of instances where even though our bromeliad is stoloniferous, it hangs better than it climbs. So if you're going to choose a bromeliad, you're going to go out and buy it, and you want to mount it in a tree or on a piece of driftwood, there are certain things that you need to look for. Now, yes, it needs to be stoloniferous. That will do the best job, but we just took a look at this San Diego, and this doesn't do such a good job. Now, on a piece of driftwood, maybe so, because it is small, but you're going to have to leave it tied on there for an awfully long time. So this may attach, but it's going to take it a longer time than a bromeliad that has great roots on it. So why don't we take a look at one of my favorites, and this is Ecomia Correa Arajwa. And as you can see, it is stoloniferous. I'm going to bring it up to the camera and let's take a look. So as you can see, this Correa Arajwa has a pup coming out here. See the pup? And you can see that it's a fair distance away from the adult. But here's something I want to show you. And let's see, I hope this doesn't blur, but take a look right here. Look at these roots. This is what you want to look for if you're going to be buying a bromeliad for climbing. And these roots indicate that even with a pup just this small, it's going to attach really, really well. So not only do you want a stolon like this right here, but you want to take a look and see whether or not there are roots that are coming out of that stolon and this plant. And I'm going to try and really get it in there. You can see that the roots actually start right here on the stolon and come out. And I can tell you that this Correa Arajwa, and look at the pattern on that, isn't that cool? That this Correa Arajwa is one of the best climbers, and I have this back in the tangle. Even after a hurricane, one clump actually stayed in a tree. So it attaches very, very well. Okay, so this gives you a really good view of the root system on this Correa Arajwa, and you can see the length of the stolon. I'll bring this back like this and take a look at the adult and that pup, and that is what makes this one of the best climbers, and it's because of those roots right there. Now this is Neoregelia, Olens, Brazil. And as you can see, this is really stoloniferous. Look at the length of the stolons. Now, I do have this in a tree, and I'm going to come on down here. And if you take a look, you can see that, yes, there are roots. But why don't we compare that to the Correa Arajwa? And I think we'll see where the roots are not as long, and so this plant will climb. I do have this in a tree, but it's going to take this a little bit longer because the root system, and you can see that right here, is just not as thick and robust. Remember that the roots are meant to grab onto the tree where this plant will be growing epiphytically. So the stronger the roots, the stronger the attachment. So here's another example of the anatomy that we need to have in addition to the stolon. Now I'm going to come on down here. This, by the way, is an Echmea chantinii. It's in a lot of shade. This might actually be Chantinii de Leon. I'm not sure, but it's not showing a whole lot of dark coloration. So this may be the species. But let's take a look down here. Now, when I put this in the tree about 4 months ago, it did not have a pup. These had blown out during our hurricane last year, and that pup is brand spanking new. And what it's going to do is it's going to send roots out pretty soon. Now you can see it's already grown roots here, and I'm going to try and get right down in here, and maybe you can see those roots right there where the adult has already attached to the trunk of the tree. So not only are stolons very important in order to have a good climbing bromeliad, but you also need to have very strong roots so that they will attach fairly quickly to your tree. Now I mounted 2 of these chantinii in there, and I want to show you these roots. There were no roots coming out of this plant when I put it in the tree about 5 months ago, I guess. And take a look. I'm going to try and get in there a little bit better. Look at these roots. See right there? They have already attached to this tree. Now I am going to leave this wonderful Echmea chantinii. I love the color in it, don't you? The sun's coming through the leaves. So I'm going to leave this attached with this zip tie probably for the rest of this year. Maybe around September, October, November, I may take that off at that point. And I tell you, I'll be able to take it off and that plant will stay there. Now, have to tell you, 160-mile-an-hour winds, well, guys, you know, not everything is going to hold in that, but I can tell you under normal conditions with a robust root system like this Echmea chantinii has, it will most definitely stay in the tree through almost all conditions. So okay guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed looking at all of the traits that make a great climbing bromeliad. And now we know some look like they might be great at climbing, but actually drape a little bit more. And that will help you grow them in your trees. Don't forget guys, this is also helpful info if you're going to be making a living log or you're going to be mounting your bromeliad on a piece of driftwood. So no matter where you are, I hope your sun is shining. I hope you have an island breeze blowing. I know that you and I need to keep growing and have lots of fun. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.